Well, let's get ready for some good news, some glorious news, if you will. And that is, we are in the midst of a massive shakeup over at Warner Bros. Discovery, and the future of DC stuff is kind of up in the air, but we know that is a priority for David Zaslav and his new team. Well, apparently they've issued a new edict that going forward, all DC related properties, movie wise, must be going to theaters, not just streaming. Wow.
Nice.
It's so weird what happens when you input common sense into your business practices. Like, this just seems like a no-brainer. TV shows, I get it. Like the Penguin spin-off show of the Batman, Peacemaker Season 2, that type of stuff, that makes sense for streaming. But Batgirl, we can talk about it a little bit. Blue Beetle, these type of things have the chance to make you a lot of money. And also, like, superhero movies, they want to make this their bread and butter. So put your money where your mouth is and put these movies in theaters. Primarily also so I can scream my head off when and if Nightwing shows up in the Batgirl movie. I want to experience that in a theater and deafen the eardrums of those of the people that I love. I don't need them to hear me anymore because I've been crying into the void long enough for this to happen. But also...
Honestly, I think that's one of those things that I don't know if you'll scream. I think you will cry right there. Just bawl.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Finally, yeah. Like, no screaming, just like instant body shutdown. Like, oh my God, thank goodness.
Like the Will Smith meme of him crashing onto the floor in Fresh Prince. But no.
Yes.
Here's going to be the Uncharted Media dated reference of the week. I'll be like that teen girl that cried her eyes out during Sanjay's performance on American Idol.
Oh, wow. Jeez. So
Josh
much
is
like that.
So
I got
how do you
this. I got
segue
this.
out of Sanjaya reference?
I got this. So much like that reference that Nathan just made.
Pants on the ground, pants on the ground.
Wonder Woman, the Wonder Twins has been canceled because it also is too niche. Bam! Got that segue. Okay.
Jeez, is your back okay for trying to twist your way out of that? Good
yeah,
Lord.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't have much of a back anyway.
That is true.
But yeah, but like, I'm also like not surprised at all that the Wonder Twins was canceled. Like, it really, even when it was announced, both you and I were like, this could be interesting, but like, why do this and ignore Superman? Why do this and ignore some like Green Lantern? You know what I mean?
We will talk about Superman in a bit here.
Oh goodness. So yeah, like that totally makes sense.
And I know some people are worried about it's weird to say, but I know some people are worried about the Wonder Twins movie getting canceled so soon after it got announced. They're just like, well, these were obscure niche characters. What future does that have for other niche characters? Like, we want to have our DC version of Guardians of the Galaxy. I get that, but I think what DC and David Zaslav and company are thinking for the time being is establish the well-known name brands before we dip into the well of the obscure characters. Like, let's get Superman right, let's get Batman right, let's get Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, yada, yada, yada. Let's get that established. Then, once we've established our rapport again, then we can get into the weird stuff. Guardians of the Galaxy was not the first movie in the MCU. We waited until Phase 2 to get into the really weird stuff. And that was after we built up the good reputation. I know some people are like, well, we got Batgirl and Blue Beetle. Those movies were pre-existing in production. They were too far along, I think, to cancel them. But also, I think they have a lot of faith in both of those movies. We'll touch on it briefly here, because we don't talk about leaks normally, but there's some leaked set pictures of Blue Beetle. Oh my God. I thought the Aquaman costume at the end was comic book accurate and was like a living, breathing, you rip this out of a comic book page. The costume that they have for Blue Beetle in this was surprisingly practical. A lot more practical effects than I was expecting. And it genuinely feels like they just got done playing Injustice 2 and ripped that skin right out of the game. I'm going,
oh, dude, like it looks, oh God, I cannot wait. I like you and I try very hard to not really pull anything from leaks, not really get too excited about them, but gosh, that suit's so gorgeous. And I know you and I are already hyped for Blue Beetle, so it's a little hard to not get like super hyped for it. But yeah, like this is like the Blue Beetle I can see being best friends with like Beast Boy and Static Shock. Like,
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I would not be surprised if Static is temporarily put in developmental hell, because
yeah,
there's been no forward progress on that in a little bit, and I think they could see potential in that, but I think that's one of those characters that, like Nightwing, as much as it pains me to say, there's a lot of projects that have not made forward momentum in a while that I think that might be off the table for the time being, like a Cyborg movie, like Green Lantern, like Nightwing, like Static Shock. But getting back to the theatrical release thing, it's just a smart idea. It's superhero movies make money. And clearly, just putting them straight to streaming doesn't always pan out in terms of your streaming subscription numbers. Who knows? You could have one that could actually be a hit. I don't know if Sony was expecting Into the Spider-Verse to be as big of a hit as it was and resonate with people. So they never know. Superhero movies right now is the market, and they clearly want to get the DC brand to be a big deal, and I completely get that. Now, in this kind of like mini DC news stuff, we have one other news story that kind of came across late, but also kind of validates some things that I've been thinking, and I feel like I mentioned it in passing one or two times in the podcast recently, and that involves JJ Abrams. So we know back in 2019, JJ Abrams and his company Bad Robot signed this deal for like 250 or 500 million, I can't remember, for a buttload of money to basically make content for Warner Brothers. So far, diddly squat of that has kind of really come to the surface. And supposedly, David Zaslav ain't too happy about that. He's kind of calling on the people that did run the ship. He's just like, why did we pay so much money for this? And we're getting nothing out of it. As it was announced today that JJ Abrams has agreed to do a new TV show for Apple TV, not even HBO Max. I'm just going, because I remember pretty early on in that agreement when he signed on the dotted line that he was going to be executive producing a Superman movie about a black Superman. I have a feeling that movie is not going to happen anymore, because I think they're going to focus their attention back to Clark Kent Superman, but also, like I said fairly recently on this podcast, they paid JJ all this money, and what have we gotten to show for it so far? I know we had a pandemic, which kind of excuses some stuff, but by and large, his name was attached to a bunch of stuff, but nothing so far has come out of it. So I think they have every right to just go, okay, this is not working out. You are free to work elsewhere if you so desire, like Paramount, or clearly he's fine with working with Apple or Netflix. Like, they paid all this money, and so far, nothing's come out of it. And I'm saying this as a JJ Abrams fan. I like most of his stuff, but something about this seems sketch, and I'm glad David Zaslav is seeing this going, yeah, why do we pay so much money only for this to not pay off? If this is not helping us, get rid of it. Like, he is clearly cracking down. No one is safe, and I actually really appreciate that.
No, absolutely, because it's like it gives me some hope for the future that, okay, you know what, maybe some of the movies that we were really excited for are going to get postponed, or maybe they're going to get scrapped altogether. Looking at you, Ezra Miller. Who knows what's going to happen? But instead of, Warner can't get their head out of their butts, like, what are they doing? This feels finally like, okay, cool. This is a man with a plan. He's got
Brian
reasons
Kendrick?
He's got
5 points for you guys if you get that reference.
Wow.
I'm a man with a plan.
Wow. God, I haven't heard that name in forever. Mainly because he doesn't really work anymore. Anyway,
that's what happens when you're a pirate.
Yeah, well, nobody likes short wrestlers, so. But I this particular point, it feels less like, Warner can't get their crap together. What's going on? And more like, okay, this is a man with a plan. He's going in a specific direction. Thank goodness.